Mein Name doesn't matter.
What matters is how, in one single courtroom, my entire family turned into strangers.
You think betrayal feels like a knife in your back.
But when it comes from your own mother, it feels more like someone ripping your heart out with their bare hands, while the whole world watches. I was standing there in a family court, fighting for the only thing that mattered, my son, when my mother rose to her feet, raised her right hand, and told the judge I was unfit to be a parent. Her voice didn't tremble. If anything, she sounded proud. Your Honor, my daughter has always been unstable.
She's never held a steady job.
She disappears for days. She's not capable of raising a child. Every word was a dagger.
And the worst part?
My ex-husband sat across the room, grinning like a man who had just checkmated me with the one move I never saw coming. I kept my eyes on my son, Daniel. He was only 8. Too young to understand strategy, but old enough to feel the sting of betrayal. He sat in the front row, his tiny hands gripping the edge of the bench as he watched his grandmother destroy me in front of strangers. His aunt, my sister, sat beside him, silent, refusing to meet my eyes. And in that moment, I realized.
I wasn't just fighting Markus, my ex-husband.
I was fighting my own blood. For 2 years after my divorce, I'd lived small on purpose.
No fancy house. No designer clothes. Just a modest apartment, an old car, a quiet life.
Because I wanted Daniel to grow up knowing humility, not entitlement.
To value people, not possessions.
But to everyone else, especially my mother, that looked like weakness. Like failure. She kept hammering on. My grandson deserves stability. His father can give him a proper home, a good life. All she has is secrets. She won't even tell us what she does for work. For all I know, she's involved in something dangerous. Whispers rippled through the courtroom. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, shame. Not because her words were true, but because the people who should have defended me the most had chosen to believe the worst. Marcus's lawyer stood up, smirking. Your Honor, the testimony speaks for itself. Clearly, my client can provide the safer, more stable environment for the child. I folded my hands, forcing my breathing steady. 15 years in the legal system had taught me one thing: timing is everything. Sometimes, the best way to fight is to wait until the exact right moment to strike. The judge finally turned to me. Ms. Rowe, how do you respond to these allegations? Slowly, I stood. My heart was pounding, but my voice?
Calm.
Measured.
Controlled.
Your Honor, I'd like to call a witness. Confusion flickered across Marcus's lawyer's face. Objection, no witness was disclosed. The witness only became available this morning, I replied. But I believe his testimony will clear up any misunderstandings.
The judge gave a curt nod. Proceed.
I walked to the doors at the back of the courtroom, pulled them open, and in stepped a tall man in a dark suit.
Silver hair.
A presence that made the room fall silent. Gasps echoed as he made his way to the stand. Your Honor, I said, my voice carrying through the quiet, I'd like to call Chief Justice Adrian Cole to testify. My mother's face crumbled. My ex's smug smile dissolved into confusion. Even the judge raised her brows in surprise. The Chief Justice adjusted the microphone. His voice was steady, commanding. You are addressing Evelyn Rowe, he told the courtroom, Associate Justice of the State Supreme Court. She has served with distinction for 8 years. A hush fell so thick, I swear I could hear my mother's breathing stop. The Chief Justice continued. Justice Rowe presides over our most complex criminal and civil cases. She has authored landmark decisions in family law. Her work is respected nationwide. My son's eyes widened. For the first time, I saw pride on his little face instead of confusion. He finally understood why his mom sometimes disappeared behind stacks of files late into the night. Why I missed dinners. Why I lived modestly, quietly. And then came the nail in the coffin. Her salary is nearly $200,000 a year, the Chief Justice said firmly. She owns her home outright and maintains a second property in the mountains. Every financial detail of her life is public record. Suggesting otherwise is simply false. I turned back to the judge. My mother's testimony hung in the air like ashes after a fire. Your Honor, I said quietly, the reason my family didn't know about my position is because I never wanted my son to grow up under the shadow of a title. I wanted him to love me for being his mother, not for being a judge. The silence was crushing. Marcus looked like he'd swallowed poison. His lawyer was frantically flipping through papers that suddenly meant nothing. I looked straight at my mother. You stood in front of strangers and tried to strip me of my child, because you never cared enough to ask who I really was.
Her lips trembled.
But for once, she had no words.
The judge leaned forward, her tone final.
Given the evidence presented, I am granting full custody to Justice Rowe. The father will receive supervised visitation until further review. I exhaled for the first time in hours. My son ran to me, wrapping his arms around my waist.
His